I have a friend who really goes sort of ballistic and gets very toxic the moment you talk about your faith experience. He is really anti-organized religion to the point that it's sort of an Achilles heel with him. You can go to his home. Other people go to his home. I've been in groups there, and they can talk about absolutely anything. And he just enters into the conversation. But, we met, Gary and I, when I was interviewing people because I needed an associate pastor. We needed an associate pastor at MCC in the old days. And he and I have been on a life journey and our spiritual journeys, because we were spiritual people when we met, for 40-some years. Reading and discussing and attending and praying and really just having a ball. But if we mention any of it, and our whole life circulates around it, before we left the Catholic Church, we were, it was different times. Sheehan was the Archbishop, and Christ among us hadn't been fiddled with yet by the powers that be at Rome. I was teaching at the College of St. Mary. Gary was teaching at Holy Name. Daryl was working at Jesuit House at Creighton, and John was at the Madonna Center. And I did the RCIA, and very involved. Well, if we would bring up what we're doing, we would hear the blast and the toxic statements and how stupid organized religion is, all of it. And, of course, therefore, how stupid the people who are members of organized religions. So one day I had a conversation with him, and he was being toxic. And actually, it wasn't with him. It was with somebody very like him, come to think of it. But my response was the same, and it would be the same to him if we ever had the conversation. I asked him once what he imagined, or what he thought that I meant when I used the word God. And he said, well, that old man with a long white beard who's making a list and checking it twice and going to find out who's naughty and nice, and who seems to have a very bad temper and a very quick temper. He's drowning people and asking people to sacrifice their children, or isn't happy unless somebody's spilling blood, either of a sheep or a lamb, or even his own son. It tickles him. He'll forgive you if you do that. He's a strange God, Fred. So, I said, whoa. I got to tell you, if we could take that concept of yours of God, put it over here with other concepts of God, because there really are lots of concepts of God. I can tell you that I would be an atheist to that concept of God, just as I am an atheist when it comes to the gods of like Zeus and Apollo and Aphrodite and the gods of old Greece and Rome. When I think of the word God, when I use that word, I'm very Gospel of St. John kind of approach. John says, in the beginning was the Word, and in the beginning was the Logos, and the Logos was with God, and the Logos was God. Well, that Greek word Logos, that means animate. It's an animating principle. In the beginning was the animating principle, and the animating principle was with God, and the animating principle was God. There is clearly an animating principle. And it isn't just for organic things like you and me and blades of grass and giraffes. There is also an animating principle to a rock. You may, well, how is it animated? Well, its atoms and electrons are very busy in there maintaining its rockness. In fact, they're much better at maintaining the rockness that they're in than your atoms and electrons are at maintaining the organic body you're in. Yours ain't going to last. The rock's going to last a long time. That's an animating principle with some real permanence involved. Okay. So when I think of God, I think of this animating principle. Now, I also think there has to be an ultimate source. You can't have this body, or your body, or a blade of grass, or the giraffe, or the rock, unless you have a certain kind of atom, the carbon atom. Whoa. Of course, you need some hydrogen atoms and some other atoms, but you've got to have the carbon atom. Well, how do you get one? Where are they at? Well, you can't have a carbon atom till the star goes nova. Then you get carbon atoms. So what we are composed of is really star stuff. We are the way stars figured out to look back at themselves. We're the way the universe has learned to ask questions and remember the answers. Okay? The ultimate source. So I think the ultimate source was the Big Bang. I really don't know. And I care, but it seems to me that for a star to go nova, there had to be a way for that star to form. So there was an animating cause, an animating principle, a cause sooner or earlier than that star that went nova. Ooh, this goes forever. Ooh, that forever, I guess we might use the word eternal. So we have an eternal source that is an animating principle. Okay. That's what I think of when I think of God. And I think that is awesome. I mean that there are other universes out there, other dimensions, other planets, that we are able to talk to one another, even to this computer, that I am alive, that my cells are composed of these atoms and electrons, that are the same atoms and electrons that compose that stone. It is just exciting and interesting and awesome. So I like to get together with other people who find that as interesting and as exciting and awesome as I do, and also do another thing I like to do, and that is to show gratitude for this wonderful experience, this incredible experience, this consciousness that we have. And then to pool our resources and try to do what we see our universe doing. And that is animating things, giving it life, making things feel good and be happy and possible. And you can do that. You can do that through social justice, and organized religions do a great deal of social justice. And you can do it as an individual, or you can do it as both. So I never really understand why my friend is so toxic about people of faith, when he really is sort of angry that he was lied to about that image of God he was fed when he was a child. It's because it's a childish God that nobody, I think, who thinks could love or worship.